The show was called Throwback SmackDown. Yeah man, remember how great SmackDown was in the 80s? I don't. I'm as angry as Tamina about this whole thing. And what in the blue ballsack is that? To be fair people, it was obvious that we're not getting the Fist or Retro SmackDown because WWE never promised you that. As a matter of fact, they advertised the show with the 80s theme even though SmackDown debuted in 1999. So I don't understand what the fans expected in the first place. But not everything was bad. I mean, WWE finally acknowledged me as the forehead of the table. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Greatness of SmackDown. This whole thing made no sense whatsoever. They used a 1999 logo, they used 80s logos, graphics, colors, and it just doesn't make any sense at all because like I've said, SmackDown debuted in 1999. Did it really have to be about the 80s? I mean, I'm sure 99% of the people would prefer just a classic SmackDown, either this or that. But if you expected a fist, well, I don't know why, you played yourself. The show itself was nice, man. You know, SmackDown is the A show, what else can you expect? I gotta be honest, people, I wasn't as excited about Throwback SmackDown as I was about seeing Roman Reigns and hearing that theme song again. You're my tribal chief. And that's how the show kicked off, with the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And that was a great segment. They even did a 10-bell salute to Daniel Bryan. All Daniel Bryan needed to do is acknowledge him as the head of the table. He says Bryan didn't want to be here, so he smashed him, pinned him, and got rid of him. And now he's going to be replaced with someone who will acknowledge him. And that is Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso makes his return. You know what I appreciate? The Usos look very different right now. I mean, back in the day, I'll be honest, I couldn't tell them apart. I know they look different, I didn't know which one is Jimmy, which one is Jay. I didn't care. They're twins. Now they look very different and they have very different personalities, and I really appreciate that. This whole thing got interrupted by Cesaro. He says Jimmy will never replace Daniel Bryan, but he has to focus on his match against Seth Rollins. We got a brawl until WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long interrupts. I smell a tag team match. I kinda smell a one-on-one match against The Undertaker. And that's when he actually announced that if Cesaro beats Seth Rollins tonight in the main event, he will get a championship opportunity. Holla holla holla. After this, Roman Reigns attacks Cesaro from behind and smashes him into steel steps. This was pretty nice. So that was a nice way to kick off SmackDown. Like I've said, the whole show was actually pretty entertaining except for the whole fact that it was really pointless to make it into 80s. Because to be fair, you didn't really feel it. Once the match starts, you basically don't see the graphics or anything like that. So it was pretty pointless in my opinion. So that's when we got Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, which was obviously a pretty decent match. Probably should have been in the main event, but it worked for the sake of his story. I'll explain later. Now you need to keep in mind, Jimmy Uso is still kind of a babyface, so he's not gonna be a bitch. He got tired of Seth's crap, so he super kicked him. This cost Seth Rollins the match because we got a neutralizer and Cesaro takes the W. He's going to WrestleMania Backlash. So obviously, Roman Reigns is not happy, Seth Rollins is not happy, and Rollins lets Roman Reigns know that he's not happy. Reigns understands where Seth Rollins is coming from and he says, I'm gonna take care of family. Rollins says, if you don't, I will. So that's actually pretty nice. Roman Reigns is a heel, Seth Rollins is a heel, but they're on very different paths right now. But we still kinda got this Shield reunion. I mean, they're still friends. They're focusing on different things, but they understand each other. I actually really like this segment. We got a pretty funny segment with Sami Zayn, Sonya Deville, and Teddy Long. Basically, Sami Zayn wants the Intercontinental Championship match. Teddy Long announces a one-on-one match with The Undertaker, and then he announces a 5-on-2 tag team match or something like that. Basically, this turned into a 10-man tag team match, which always happens during special episodes of SmackDown, so I kinda appreciate that. Although I gotta say, This one didn't feel special, it really lacked star power. I'll talk about that in a second. We also saw Ruby Riott versus Carmella, in which Carmella won the match. We saw Bayley talking about the history of women's wrestling. She talked about some of the longest reigning women's champions, and she mocked them, saying that as good as they are, they're not me. We also saw Bianca Belair. This turned into a brawl in which Bayley stands tall. This should feel a lot more special, but for some reason it just doesn't at all, in my opinion. I mean, Bayley is the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion, but it kind of feels like she's an afterthought. And that's probably because during the past couple of months she was not necessarily buried, of course, but she has zero momentum. I guess that's the right way to put it. And, you know, I kind of expected a bigger rivalry for Bianca Belair, but I guess we're getting that once Sasha Banks makes her return. Jimmy Uso is not gonna play by Roman's rules. As a matter of fact, he said, "I'm not your bitch." The only reason Jimmy Uso is with this family is because of Jey Uso. We also saw a backstage segment where Jimmy Uso just tries to make a point that Roman Reigns is doing it for himself and not for us. But it still kind of feels like he's open to the idea, because he said, imagine this: Roman Reigns with the Universal Championship and us with the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Jimmy Uso just doesn't know what to do. He knows that Roman Reigns is full of shit, but he's family. And most importantly, Jey Uso is with Roman Reigns, so he kinda has no choice. We were supposed to get Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler, which is something I was actually very excited about, because these two have history. They had some of the best matches during the WWE PG era, but we didn't get that because Dolph Ziggler started insulting Dominic Mysterio, saying that you're here because you're Rey Mysterio's son. At least Kardashians did something before they got famous. You know, typical shit. And basically this turned into Dolph Ziggler versus Dominic Mysterio, which was actually a very short match. So from Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler to this, that was kinda disappointing. Dominic Mysterio won the match with a roll-up, and that's just typical wrestling BS. I'm kinda sick of these finishes, if I'm being honest. We saw Reginald versus Tamina Snuka. You know, not something you're very excited about, but seeing Reginald doing these flips is always entertaining. We saw Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler interfering. This ended in disqualification. Whatever. And then we got the Apollo Crews, Sami Zayn, King Corbin, Chad Gable, and Otis versus Owens, Nakamura, and the Street Profits. A lot of big name, but when you compare this match to some other SmackDown specials, like for example this match right here, you know, it just doesn't feel quite the same. Not even similar. At all. So it's kinda unfortunate, but the match itself was fun to watch. Now surprisingly the heel team won, because I would expect a babyface team to win in this kind of episode, but King Corbin took the W. And of course Roman Reigns wants to know the answer. Is Jimmy Uso gonna acknowledge him? Jimmy Uso tries to remind them what happened in the past. I mean, Roman Reigns was absolutely ruthless. Reigns says, "Why are you focusing on the past? We need to move forward." He says, "Acknowledge me or you can take your ass home." And when you turn on the TV, you're gonna have to explain your kids why you're sitting here with them watching the tribal chief and the Uso. Roman is just so good on the microphone. Man, I wish he turned heel a lot sooner with the crowd. Would have been so good. Jimmy Uso just leaves. He doesn't know what to do. He's confused. We saw Cesaro, he attacked Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, and my man is wow. Like, Cesaro is really impressive, and I can't wait to see this match. He basically nails both Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, but Jimmy Uso decides to help because they're still family. He got his ass kicked as well, so Cesaro stands tall, and I really cannot wait for this match. It's really impressive how they booked Cesaro lately. Like, he's one of these dudes that you can't imagine winning the World Heavyweight Championship, because you know how he was treated for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it is right now. He never even touched the World Championship. But now, you know, I know he's not gonna win the title, but I wouldn't be shocked if at some point at WrestleMania, he's going to. I wouldn't be shocked right now. In my opinion, this whole thing kinda makes the match predictable a little, because I'm pretty sure Jimmy Uso is gonna say no to Roman Reigns, but at the pay-per-view he's going to interfere and he's gonna help Roman Reigns to win the match. That's how he's going to acknowledge him, which is not a bad story. I'm just saying it's a bit predictable. So that was your SmackDown, people. A pretty decent show in my opinion. Obviously it's mostly about Roman Reigns and that's your highlight of the show. I'm just happy we're getting a watchable TV show, even if it's just Roman Reigns. So thank you for watching The Great One. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.